strategic planning while we were all dispersed as a community of faith. And some of that worked okay, some of it didn't. Then we came back together and we formed strategic planning groups, where different groups were talking about different aspects of our ministry. There was one group who was assigned to talk about worship and what it meant to have worship be meaningful for folks here at People of Hope. Another group is meeting, and that's the group that we prayed for this morning earlier, the Members Relations Committee, that saw how the pandemic, and even a little before the pandemic, how our community of faith had become a little bit fractured and not connected with one another. So this group's primary task was to figure out ways for folks at People of Hope to engage with one another, to create those meaningful relationships that were present at one time. And then the third group was tasked with what does it look like for our community of faith to share God's message of love for all people out into the world. What ministries are we engaged with? What does that look like? How are we doing in terms of recruiting volunteers and having enough people to pull off the ministries that we're doing? Is it really just a small group of people doing lots of work on behalf of the community of faith? So, the worship group has done some work. The member relations group has done more work. The missions group is now has done some work as well, and now is in the process of kind of evaluating kind of what we've done in the past, if those things should be continuing in the future, but also we're also interested in seeing where People of Hope might be going in the future. So, Mike, I'm going to ask that you hit the next slide. So, why are we doing this? I said some of this earlier. Questions about whether we have spread too thin or not. People of Hope has, in its entire history, has been a very permission-giving kind of congregation. That means if someone has an idea for a ministry and is passionate about it, leadership here has been like, go for it. See if it will go, see what will happen. Now, that's great in terms of allowing people to live out their passions. Where we get into some difficulties with being so permission-giving is that sometimes people have pet projects that one or two people do, and they get upset that a whole community of faith is not buying into that pet project, or they feel burned out because it's a ministry that folks like the concept of doing but aren't volunteering for it, and they feel guilty if they want to back away from it, things like that. So we're wondering if we're spread too thin. Also, our ministries tend to be a little bit unfocused. We have hands in a lot of different things, and you'll see that as we go through the slide of everything that we're offering right now. Our hands are in a lot of different things. We haven't really asked the questions like any good organization should ask. Is what we're being asked to do, does that fall in line with who we have said we are as a congregation to our mission statement? And does it align with the values that we're putting up as a congregation? If not, then should we really be engaged? Recruitment of volunteers has become problematic, especially post-pandemic. We continue to encourage and wait for more and more folks to kind of enter into our community of faith, come back to the community of faith post-pandemic, and we're just not seeing the numbers of folks returning that we would like to see. You'll see in a couple slides, though, we're not the only ones in that book. And then finally, volunteer burnout. There's a lot of folks who have engaged in ministry for a number of years who volunteer for everything that we do because they value so much the mission of People of Hope as well as what we value, but are starting to get a little tired. So do we need to address how we're retaining volunteers and how we're approaching that idea of volunteer burnout? So if you go to the next slide, I'm going to give you a little statistical analysis of the Christian church in the United States of America post-pandemic. Now, I tried to find the most up-to-date published survey that I could find. The most up-to-date statistical survey I could find was November of 2021. There are still folks who are pulling together statistics for what, after November of 2021, to this study, that would make us a medium-large church. Okay? Now this is throughout denominations throughout the U.S., right? So, when they took the survey in 2021, 65 people were attending services. That's a 12% decline in worship attendance during the first 18 months of pandemic. Anecdotally, that number continued to decline. I was meeting with a group of pastors earlier this week at our weekly text study. One of the large congregations here in town was on a call with senior pastors, large church senior pastors throughout the ELCA. Their statistics are showing that their worship attendance is about 45% of pre-pandemic numbers. So we've had a change where church has either transferred into the digital media circle, where people throughout the course of the pandemic broke the habit of going to church on a regular basis, or they filled that time with something else that they are finding more valuable. Okay? 24% of congregations who participated in this survey had moderate to severe conflict around COVID restrictions. I'm happy to report that we did not have those kind of questions. We had folks certainly want to come out of the modifications we made a little earlier than our health team was ready to do, but that didn't really cause too much distress. 15% of congregations had staffing changes due to the pandemic, and staffing trends continued to increase. The last number I saw about this in terms of clergy movement was that about 33.33% of clergy have moved congregations in the past 2 years. And that's a lot of pandemic stress, family time, things like that. Yeah, Diane. They weren't, not in this survey. Correct. I took it off. I should put it on though, because we're live streaming. Post-pandemic church life. Sorry about that at home viewers, right? So the question was, does that median attendance number include people who are watching online? And it doesn't. Okay, and it doesn't for our congregation either. And then 54% of congregations stopped fellowship events during the pandemic. We made some attempts to have fellowship events, but some of those tanked really, really, really hard. But we were making efforts, right? Can you click the next slide, Mike? This is about donations and finances, right? 40% of churches had increased donations from members during the pandemic. People of Hope experienced that too. We had some increased donations. 31% of churches had more come in for food assistance. People of Hope experienced that, not only in terms of dollars, but also in terms of tangible items that we were able to pass out. The little pantry is the example of that. 25% of churches had more financial assistance, folks who would give money to help other people in need. People of Hope also experienced that during the course of the pandemic. And then 37% of churches had more people seeking spiritual guidance. People of Hope also experienced that. I tracked for the first 8 months with that 3-month medical leave where I almost died. Well, we won't have to talk about that, but the increased calls for spiritual guidance and counseling, and for me, it was almost a 200% increase in calls that I would get. Not necessarily just from folks within our congregation, but folks who knew about our congregation through some of the work that we did in the community or through Facebook or whatever, who would reach out and call and just want to talk about how they were dealing with the pandemic. So that we experienced that as well. And then one more slide of statistics, I think. 67% of clergy reported that the pandemic was the hardest time in ministry. 18% of pastors seriously considered leaving ministry a few times or more. 68% of churches say they will emerge the pandemic stronger than they were before. 69% of churches said that they embraced new ministry opportunities during the pandemic. All right, and I'll publish these slides. I'll put these slides on our webpage so you can see where this came from. But this particular study was put on by the Lilly Endowment, which their big thing in the United States is to support congregations and clergy folks. So a reputable resource. Do you have any questions about any of those statistics? Yep. Pre-pandemic. That's what I said, pre-pandemic.
What do we average now?
Yeah, so online as well as folks in the pews, somewhere between 60 to 70. Right? What? That's including online. Yeah, and online trends kind of dip depending on the season. It's also fascinating to watch the live stream from kind of the person running the live stream or person with analytics to see how long people hang in. So people typically hang in until after the message and then they go. YouTube, we have better viewership than we do on our live stream. And that's, I think some of that has to do with the convenience of being able to watch it whenever you have time to watch it. And our YouTube viewership hasn't experienced the same kind of decline in numbers as the Facebook live stream. I wish I knew those metrics off the top of my head, but I'm not really a numbers guy, so sorry. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, because your first answer was somebody when you said that we were having 120 people.
Pre-pandemic. No, I was trying to make the argument that we refer to ourselves sometimes as a small church. And if that's the median, we're not a small church. What? Nope. Even when we had one service. Any other questions? Okay. So if you keep going on, so the world has changed, right? You can read lots of articles. All you have to do is type into Google decline of church involvement in the USA, and you can see throughout the course of the past 2 years, the Christian denominations and Christian churches throughout the United States have seen a marked decline. That decline was existing before the pandemic, but the pandemic increased the speed of that decline, okay? So then the question is, if we're in a decline, not only as a congregation of people of hope, but as the Christian church, what are we called to do? I mean, are we being called to change with this changing world? Are we being called to look at the ways that we're operating? Are we being called to think about how we reach people first, maybe not through a worship service? So all these questions kind of start to bubble up. If you go to the next slide, part of the work that we've done over the course of the pandemic was, again, the strategic planning process, and we developed kind of a different mission statement than had been adopted way back in the history of People of Hope. We voted on this mission statement as a congregation, and this is what we publish as our mission statement. God's love made real for all without exception. Okay? That same meeting, we also identified what we valued as a congregation and through discussion. So you see that on the screen too. A little bit of it's cut off there. So we say that we're making God's love real through the way that we welcome people, through service opportunities, through worship and relationship. And then we added words underneath each of those to explain that a little further. So instead of me reading that slide to you, I'm going to take a swig of my coffee, and you can read it for a second. Yeah, we talk about those things at our meetings, yeah. What? Through relationships.
sometimes we have communication issues. He was just confused by the way it was laid out on the slide. Is that fair? Because of the big empty space. Sorry. Anyone have any questions about this? Okay, so what then I did was on our website, www.peopleofhope.com, we have listed the ways that we answer God's call to serve, both inside the church and outside of the church. These are some of the ways that we serve inside the church, and primarily around, this slide is all about worship. So when we are running at our peak capacity and have volunteers for all of our volunteer opportunities, this is what we need to pull off a Sunday morning worship service. Okay? So we have music volunteers, we have hospitality volunteers. Those are the people who bring cookies and set up coffee and clean up afterwards. Those who work as ushers and greeters. What I forgot to put on there was the welcome table. So we've had a different person sitting at the welcome table, inviting people to put on name tags, things like that. We have communion people who set up and clean up and who also serve communion. We have tons of volunteers who help with audiovisual stuff. So we have someone who runs the soundboard, someone who runs the PowerPoint, someone who puts together the PowerPoint on a weekly basis, someone who runs the live streaming, and then we have worship leaders. All right? At one time, I can't remember the number, but it was like 18 volunteers that we were shooting for to pull off worship on a weekly basis. Readers aren't up there, right? So there are things that I just forgot. I was putting this together while I was trying to entertain people at a visitation on Friday night. So, so there's things that aren't on there that should be on there. Readers. 22. There you go. Mike just counted. So huge volunteer base, right? If you click on the next slide, these are the ways that we serve in the church in education, learning time. We have learning time coordinators. We have learning time teachers. We have confirmation class. We have a lay volunteer who shows up to each and every confirmation class to co-teach with me. Not to mention parents who are now filling in when either myself or that other adult volunteer, Pam Dreyer, has a conflict, because we always want to make sure that there's more than one adult with those students. Adult learning time, we're having different presenters starting to present during adult learning time. We have different Bible studies that happen, different book studies that happen. And then here I also put our educational kind of mission trips. We had the first one in quite a long time last year, where folks went to the Ark Encounter and the Creation Museum, which I considered more of an educational trip than a mission trip. If you click on the next one, Mike, these are the fellowship support groups that we have operating. People of Hops, people getting together and drinking beer and talking about issues of faith. Meals of Hope, that's a ministry that goes out if someone's having a family crisis or having an emergency and needs some food support. We have a group of people who arrange to have food delivered. Power Supply, which is really our online prayer ministry. If someone wants to be in charge of that, by the way, please let me know. I could use a volunteer to help with that. Our funeral support team that does amazing work during times of crisis for people. You should have seen them operating yesterday. It was awesome. Adult-only movie nights. We haven't had one of those in a while, but there should be one coming up in December. And then just different one-time events, fellowship events. One of those happened before that Lutheran World Relief packing party, where we had a barbecue, where people decide they want to get together and have a game night, which hasn't happened in a while, or Ladies Wine and Dine used to be in there, which hasn't happened in a while. Some things like that. If you click on the next one, Mike. So that's kind of inside the church what we do. That by no means is an exhaustive list, right? This is how we're currently serving in the community of Rochester. We run the Open Table Food Ministry with Zumbro Lutheran Church. That's the big yellow burrito truck. We have volunteers who meet at Channel 1 on a monthly basis to pack food for distribution. We also have member missionaries who also volunteer time outside of that pack at Channel 1. We volunteer at the Dorothy Day Hospitality House at least once a month to provide a meal there. The Women's Shelter and Support Center, we have collections for the Women's Shelter. You should have saw one published for the Christmas season here in last week's e-news. We have supported Family Promise in the past through one key volunteer. That ministry is changing a little bit, and that might be one that, anyway, I'm not going to talk about that. The Link Services for Youth. In the past, we have tried to donate foodstuffs. We've also done collections for Link. We run a water shop for the Med City Marathon. We do Adopt a Highway. We have our Hope Garden, which is in partnership with Revolutionary Earth Farms, which also brings in summer service students to educate them and also bring them to our property. We host Operation Bedroll, which is a fabulous ministry. If you have free time on a Tuesday morning, come crochet some shopping bags to create bedrolls for homeless people in our community. We have different groups of people who ring bells for the Salvation Army, and then whatever else may arise. Our congregation is one who hears about a need in the community and figures out if we can respond and what that response should be. So those are just some of the way. How do we do? We also do community-wide events. So we have this Easter egg hunt that has been going on for a number of years. We have had a presence at Rochester Pride on a yearly basis. We host beer and carols. We have participated in the past and will be again participating this year in a community-wide Thanksgiving service. We won't be hosting it, but we will be there present doing that. We had our first harvest garden party. Hopefully that will be a yearly kind of event too. And then we also engage in advocacy when the need arises. An example of that would have been the counter-protest to the protest happening for Drag Queen Bingo, where Karen and I went, but then also we had member missionaries who also went to advocate in that way. So those are some of the community-wide events thing. And we also serve throughout the world, namely through Sister Parish, which is our ministry with Akamu Herza, the Women's Cooperative in El Salvador. We package Lutheran World Relief School kits that get sent out throughout the world. We still remain a partner, even though we don't talk about it all that often, with the Central Diocese of Tanzania. We're a district partner. At one time, we were direct partners with a tribe in Tanzania. That partnership morphed about 5 years ago as the Hadzabe became a mission emphasis for the diocese generally. So now our funds go to the diocese to support that tribe, but also to buy school uniforms for young people who are attending school, to also provide food support for some of those young people who are who are going to school. So you can see that we're serving in lots of ways, right? And that we've kind of, our hands are in lots of different areas, right? So that's how we're currently serving. On those lists, what have I missed? So I can add them in the future. Yeah, it's in a community-wide event.
I know we talked about it, but I ended up I'm working at JM now in the consulate office, and I'm seeing that there's a huge need for warm clothing for kids, even water bottles. A lot of kids come in hungry, and there's such a huge need for, we have something called the resource room, where people send their toiletries and shoes, clothing. These kids don't have really anything, and it's been hard for me lately to not be able to help them out.
Yeah, so something to consider. Yeah, yeah.
Relatedly, people of Hope, for the first time that I can remember, did a sock collection.
Yep.
I know that there were some winter caps in that too.
Yep.
Is there a final number? Does anybody know?
No, they came and picked it up. I don't know what that number was, and they just picked it up on Tuesday, I think. Yeah, it would have been Tuesday, November 1st. So, yeah. Yep, all the grounds. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to leave that off. The food pantry is kind of an interesting one, right? Because the food pantry really serves the wider community. but it's not an event, right? So it's just, I would put it under not necessarily the community. I guess Mission Turkey Sandwich didn't make it in there. I would put it on the previous slide. So a way that we serve the community is where I'd put the food pantry. And I'll make all these revisions. I'm making mental notes as we're talking.
I'm scribbling them in the comment area.
Thank you. Yeah.
A few more for basic building maintenance and lawn mowing. I had those on my list. Children's activity bag, baptismal quilts, and we have a decorating team.
Yep. Sort of. Yep.
And under liminal relief, we've also done quilts.
Quilts. Yeah.
And then goodies with God. Is that still?
It's still going.
It wasn't updated.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I got to update a list on the webpage too. Goodies with God. Oh yeah, see, I just put Bible studies. It was under a blanket thing. Anything else? Can you go to the last slide, Mike? What am I missing? So I wanted just to give a high overview of things that we're engaged in currently. Okay? What I will do is by Wednesday of this week, I will have updated everything on the webpage under how we serve with those additional items. I might get to it this afternoon or as I'm sitting in a dorm room at Gustavus later tonight. I'm not exactly sure what they have planned for us. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I want you to look at those things. I want you to ask questions. If you see something on that list that you have no idea what it means, send me an email and I will answer you, or I will get you in touch with someone who's operating in that ministry to provide you with information. Step 2 of this process is going to happen next Sunday. And what step 2 is going to look like is we're going to have this list in front of us. And we're going to evaluate how effective we are at doing the things that we're saying we're doing. We're going to ask for new ideas. We're going to ask for feedback if there's things on that list that we shouldn't be engaged in. And we are also going to ask you one final question, and that is, this group is also working to plan a educational/mission trip in 2023, and we want to know what you want to do. Okay? We want to know what ideas you have for those trips, so we can start planning and start that planning process. All right? Does that make sense? So I thought it was important to do this before going into item number 2. We have 15 minutes left. If there was anything on that list you have any questions about or want to talk about, now's the time. Just fire away. And I might repeat what you ask so the people who are watching online can hear as well. Yeah, Eric. Thanks, Eric. Yeah, so Eric was saying that we would like to have an idea about those mission educational trips, about where we might be going by the beginning of the year, so that folks who have to work or ask for time off have ample time to make those arrangements so that they might be able to participate. Yep. Yeah. So the question was about those educational mission trips. Are they in the same category? Is the educational trip really about personal edification and education? The mission trip about serving other people? And my response to that, Karen, as we're thinking and imagining, it could be one or the other, or it could be both. We just want to know what people want to do, right? So last year the feedback was, we want to do this educational trip. We want to do this, right? That's not saying that in 2023 we don't take a group of people in a bus and go to, I don't know, the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation and volunteer in that capacity. Or we go to Appalachia and volunteer in that capacity, right? We could definitely do that. That's on the table. But also, could a trip to, I don't know, I'll just make something up. To where? Boundary Waters, maybe. Or could a trip to Pennsylvania, where early Lutheranism first started, would we go there and do a tour of early American Lutheranism, right? Like, so it's a wide variety. It's a big scope, right? So we just want to know what people are interested in. Did that answer your question? So they're just in the same category or the same kind of thing, because we happen to have someone who is a professional trip planner that we might utilize their skills for. I'm just saying, other than me trying to run a school bus. Yeah.
Well, and just kind of a little background on that. As a team, we kind of decided that it was really important to build our relationships, among people in the church. And that's why we did something that was more educational and just to get a bunch of people out there and off on a trip together. Because of the pandemic and the fact that we hadn't done a lot of those kinds of things. So that's why we did that kind of a trip.
Yep. But it's also very interesting if you look at the raw data. So Joyce was saying that we planned that educational mission trip to help foster relationships within People of Hope. If you look at the raw data from those surveys we took, we found out that people prefer to build relationships doing service events rather than just hanging out with one another in this congregation.
And I would agree with that too.
Right.
We've done the mission trips. I went to Katrina.
Yeah.
With people from our church. And that
Right.
was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, Mary.
When we finalize all this stuff, and maybe you're going to do this, we also look to have a youth person create a youth group, so that if someone wants to do something,
Yep.
they don't say, oh, I just don't want to contact.
Yep, that's an ongoing process, especially since pandemic, as well as, some people have transferred out or found a different way to express their faith and maybe a different faith community and haven't informed us yet. But we can't assume that they're gone because they haven't informed us, or they show up on a Facebook viewing thing once a month. So we're working on that. One of our MLT members sitting 2 rows behind you has been very diligent about working on that.
And also, just I was looking at Joyce and I remember your camp out in the summer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Man. Sorry. Had a few other things I was focused on this week.
It's hard to think of everything.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, Marty.
Well, pre-pandemic, people of Hope had a long-time men's music ministry that went all over, it wasn't just in People of Hope, it was all over southeast Minnesota. It was young people.
We even went to Iowa.
Iowa, even even sang in the Twin Cities. And it, again, we represented People of Hope, and the ambassadors of People of Hope went out there.
Yeah.
And I realized that maybe difficult to revive, but I wouldn't want that to be forgotten as something that was part of the
Yep.
for 15 plus years or more.
Sure.
So maybe, it might not be the same, maybe we can find a way again, having people, whether it be through music or whatever, out in the area representing people.
Yep. So Marty was reminding me to not forget about Spirit Driven, which is the men's singing group that had been a pretty active ministry to get people's hope's name out there for a long time, especially prior to the pandemic. That particular group might need to change a little bit going forward, but would be interested in whether it's through music or other ways to explore different opportunities to get our name out to the community. Did I reflect what you were saying correctly? Okay. Anything else? Yeah, Befrienders is not on there. We have a new Befrienders ministry starting, so I mean, I could sit here all day and just think about things that I failed to put on the list. I mean, to be honest with you. Yeah.
I have nothing to add to the list. I marvel at what this place does. And the fact that we try to come up with the list and just how tight knit, and let's be honest, it's a small group of folks and how much we do outside, not only inside, but outside of these walls to try and help the community. It's just, the fact that we
Forget things?
forget things on
Yeah, right. Thank you for saying that. Right.
The fact that we have trouble remembering all of the things that we do
Yeah.
is a credit to everybody that's not only in this
Absolutely.
room but listening online. I gotta give props. This guy here. Every time I come to mow, he's here. I'm like, are you ever home? He's either fixing something or he's doing, and what he's done to try and, for lack of a term, mend the fences with the neighbors, is nothing short of miraculous. It's better him than
Right,
was
yeah.
doing that, that calm. But he got up and thanked us on the team, but as somebody on that team, I gotta thank him because it's not an easy gig, and he does an awesome job running it, especially with what's going on that section of land right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yay, Eric. Anything else?
So I can't remember, and that's thing with the woods, there was a group name for that.
Stewards of Hope.
I have this whole list.
No, Stewards of Hope. Yep, I forgot everything dealing with property on there. What? I know, I should have been walking around. Oh, man. We are still taking members. We are, yep, absolutely. Yeah. Cool. Well, come back next week, all right? Because next week we're going to really put some pen to paper and try to make some decisions or make some recommendations or start to think about. I mean, nothing's going to be finalized, right? But feedback is important, especially as we do try to become a little bit more organized and try to become a little bit more focused. Because I think that organization and focus is what's going to help us as we continue to come out of the shared experience that we've had during the past couple of years to continue to be a vibrant place that we've been in the past. So we just need to wrap our heads around things. Yeah, Joyce.
And we're kind of under a time constraint for a few of our projects because we do numerous things over the holidays and that's coming up really fast.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Would we be interested, do we want extra bodies permission for the camps, either assembling or?
Yes.
Okay. The Century Jam Girls hockey team is always looking for service projects to do, and a lot of times they break in the fall, but yesterday was the day they were going to break and it got rained out, so
Wimps.
I will.
They play hockey. Why weren't they out in the rain?
Well, I mean, the coach goes to scrimmages in Red Wing at 8 in the morning, and it's like, but anyways, is what it is.
No, we
I can put that out to our volunteer person and.
absolutely every
You, but.
yeah, all those events are open to anyone, really. Like, yeah. 10. Yep. Great. Thank you. See you next week.
If you don't show up, if you volunteer to leave.
Right. Yes, thank you so much.